Hello, I'm Morris Dimba. Welcome to this tutorial. Today I'm going to show you another way of modeling a staircase with a checkered plate threads. Let's get started. If you take a look on the screen here, you can see four columns in place with the grid, and I'll just take you through on the dimensions of the grid. I just double click on the grid here and you can be able to see or read the measurements here. Though the arrangement in Tekla 2019 is a little bit different from to 16 to 17 to 18, so all the measurements are here. And on the height, I'll add the height as we go on, because it should be here, should be around 9, because we are moving on at 333, not really 3. We'll adjust everything here as we go on. Now the key is the X and Y axis. Now I'll just close that and I'll come to columns here. We have columns here, 4 columns here at a height of 6 meters. 6 meters. Remember, we are working on a US environment, metric engineering. Now I'll double click on that. You can see that a 6 meter. Now we'll start by placing our beams. I'll come to steel and pick on beams, and I'll snap right at the bottom end here and snap on the other end here, and just double click on it just to check the sizes. And I want to change these to W200, and I'll come right here and pick on the W200 by 22 here. I'll apply and give it an OK, and click modify, and I'll do a similar thing here this end. Let me just close that. I'll come to steel once again and come to view here and navigate that, right click and snap right at the bottom end here. Make sure you snap on the actual position or accurate position, and let me turn that round again and snap right here. I select on this, I select that, then come to copy, and I'll pick it from that spot and take it right there, and do the same thing here. Right click and pick it from this position and take it right there. So I'll select everything. I'll select all these 4 beams here, and I'll right click and come to special copy and pick linear. Then I'll come to Z axis. I want to copy this up by 1500 by 1500, and I'll click copy, or we should have just done move, or instead of doing the copy, because at the bottom end here we don't need beams here, we just need them up. So I'll use move special, then I'll come to linear, then just type the offset dimension, then come to move, and it will move up straight. Then click on empty screen right here, and you can be able to see that already moved up. And we want to just confirm that measurement, but we'll confirm it up here. We'll measure it from the top flange and to the ground, that is 1500. So in this on this side we need a landing beam, so we'll just select on that, right click and come to special copy here, and offset this by 1425 right there, and click that. Perfect. So this side also will slightly move up. This side will move up by 28 by 2850. 2850. Take it up by 2850. Perfect. These are also 2850. So this will be this is where the landing will be. So let's get started in creating our staircase. I'll come to view here. I'll come to applications and component right here and drag that aside, and I'll come to staircase. Just type staircase here, staircase, then scroll down, and I'll use the polybeam pan S23. I'll just double click on it. I already have my preset, and I'll click load and click modify, apply, and give it an OK right there. And I'll start it right from this bottom end, and what I'm lacking here is just a guideline. So what I'm going to do, just select on this, right click, and come to special copy here and pick linear. I want to offset this landing beam slightly inward by 1100. So first, prior to copying that, let me just check the position of my XYZ. XYZ is pointing at this side, so I'll give it an offset of negative sign. I'll prefix my 1100 by a negative sign. That's 1100, and I'll click on that and click OK. So I'll come to navigate here and turn that round. Perfect. And I have a point here which will guide me through. I'll pick it from that position and take it all the way to this far end right there, and make sure it is straight. By confirming that, make sure it falls in between the center of this and the center of half that. Now I'll come to polybeam by picking on that and snapping on that spot and snapping right here, and press your middle button on the mouse and give it some time to process that information. There we are, and our staircase is in place, and we want to modify this to come up with a better stringer. So what I'm going to do here is quite simple. I'll just pick on this, or not picking on that. I'll come to edit and come to points here and pick at any point. Not really. I'll select on it, right click, and come to move and snap on that spot. Just place your cursor there, and I offset this by 25. By 25. That's okay. Then what I'm going to do once again is select on that, then I'll right click and come to special copy, and I'll come to rotate. Once I've picked on that, I want to mirror this and have a similar stringer, and I'll show you where to take it. So I've selected on this, and I want to rotate this on the opposite direction. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to change the orientation, the rotation line. Instead of using the z-axis, I'm going to define this. I'm going to pick the line option and pick on that. So I'm going to define the rotation line along these 2 points here. I'll snap on that spot and snap on this spot and click copy. I'll click expand, and now we have another thread here. So I'll come to new and come to navigate, and I'll be able to turn this round like that, instead of creating another landing beam on this side. You can just create one and mirror. So I'll select on it, right click, and come to move and pick at the end here and drag it all the way to this position right here and place it right there. So at the moment we don't really need this landing beam here, just remove it. It was just in that place to give us a guide. So this is exactly what we want to use. And now at the bottom end here, we don't really need, I don't really think we need one here, but as we go on, we'll get rid of this landing, because that was just a hand to the direction that we were expecting to move to. Now I'll select on this once again because we need a gap in between the stringer. I'll come to move and pick on that then select on that corner and just place your cursor on that direction and feed in your offset dimensions. And either we can feed 25 as we check on the other end gap remaining. So here we have our staircase in place, and it must be the same. This gap at this far end should be the same with this one. So how do we get that accurately in place? So what we are going to do, just select edit and pick at any position and snap on this position and take it right there. And what we are going to do is to come here. Let's first of all close that, come to view and come to work plane tool, and we'll just place, and we'll place our work plane tool right there, and come to this point and select on it, then right click and come to special copy here and pick on linear, and we come to the midpoint of this beam here and we'll snap right there and click that and click copy and click on OK. So we'll transfer this point to this to this far end. Let's first of all if to check whether it has moved. It has not moved because I don't think whether we did select it accurately. Or another way is quite simple. Let's do it once again. We'll select on it, or just hide this member. We'll hide this member and check the measurement from that far end, because in another way it might not transfer the point. So it's 92.8. So we'll hide this member again, and we put a point here. Just put a point here and give it an offset. You select special copy and check the direction. We want to offset it in the direction of X, so it will be 92.8. that is 92.8, and it will move right there. So we can just pick on this, right click and come to move and pick on this member here. We can first of all measure this distance from here to here. What is that? That is 63.77. So we'll just select on this and come to move and move it in that direction. Select it and I'll move it in the direction of x-axis. Just change that first of all and come to negative 60.77 and move it like that. Perfect. Then we'll just click on empty screen, right click and click redraw, and we'll come to view and we can rotate it like that. So you can see it's actually at the edge right there. Perfect. Now what we are going to do is just to take our work plane tool to a default position right here, or anywhere as long as it is on the top of the grid with XYZ pointing the default directions. Now this is how our threads looks. Now on this side again we need a landing beam. So what we're going to do, just select on that, right click and come to copy, and we'll pick it from that position and take it right there. Perfect. And we will need another stringer up here. So what we're going to use is this length on top of the stringer and to the top of the bottom stringer here. How do we measure that? We just come to measure and pick on that, and we'll measure it maybe from that spot, and we'll come to view here and come to rotate, and we want to turn that round like that, and we'll target the center of this and click on that. What is the measurement? The measurement is 2850. So we want to offset this up by 2850. We want to copy this up by 2850. So we just select on it and disable that, or we can just leave it and try to copy it whether it will move up. We'll give it a copy command, and we'll come here and feed 2850, and we'll try to copy it up. It has gone up 2850, and this is the point we wanted it to be on. So this is where it is. Now in this case, we'll get rid of this bottom end, landing. So to get rid of that, just disable the assembly and delete all this. We'll delete all this. Then we'll come to navigate and turn that round. I'll come to applications and component here, and I'll try to access the stair detail tool. This one in this case will be 1033. It's 1038. We'll try to use this one. Double click on that, and I'll use that. I'll not use with studs, I'll just use the default one. I'll select on that, then try snap on that, select on this, try select on that position, and we've slightly modified that and got some holes for the bolting to the on top of the pedestal. Now this is how it looks, and we are still going to work on the threads. And if I zoom it close, you can see the stringer are not really close or really touching the landing beam, so we need to adjust this slightly. So what I'll do, I'll just come here and enable the assembly and double click here and try to use these settings here. I'll load that and click apply. So this will bring back this one, but that should not worry you. We'll show you how to get rid of that. So this is how it looks. I'll double click on it once again, and what I'm going to do here, it's quite simple. Let me just come here and load it. Staircase and load it. Perfect. Even though it's still the same, so we need to adjust this to make it move slightly to the landing beam. Now I'll double click on it, then I'll come to the top here. I'll adjust this to, I'll add this by around 50 there, and just moved right close, and this one also should be 50. Bottom end here should be 50. Give it a close move, a slight move here, 50 millimeter. That's it. Not that end. At the bottom end will get rid, so we'll add 50 here. So that has moved, and we'll just click OK, apply, and I give it a nod, and double click on that once again, and at the bottom end here we'll add 50, similar to the other section, and I'll come here and also add 50 and give it an OK right there. So you can see it has moved slightly closer. So we should have done that prior to copying all these up. So just to trim down on our time. So here also I'll give it 150. I'll give it 50 increment, and here also I'll give it 50. Click modify and give apply and accept that. Perfect. It has not increased, but we don't know which side has increased, but we've just injected some difference. So let me just turn this and check which part has increased, actually increased. So there's a huge difference here. Which might not be really up. Let's double click on that, and and check on that. So this one, double click, we'll just double click up here. That has reached, and the far end here is far more away from even getting close to the landing beam. We'll just increase it to 150, and this one also we'll double click and change that to 150. Change this to 150. 150. This one also 150. Apply and give it an OK. So this one will change to 50. Change that to 50, and this one also change it to 50. And give it an OK by clicking apply and accept that. So when you come to navigate here, when you turn that round, you'll see every part is touching the landing beam. The starting staircase, normally it's setting normally quite different with the next two stringers. So if you take a look on that, you can see that. Now I'll get rid of this. I'll disable the assembly and delete all this. It has not interfered at all with our bottom end connection to the top of the concrete. Now I'll come back to staircase. I'll just type staircase. Staircase. These are the tools that I'm going to use. I'll just now select on this. We have a variety of tools that we are just going to pick on one, and we are going to use here. Now I'll come to navigate and rotate this. Right click. So prior to this, I want to connect the stringers to the landing beams. So the tool I'm going to use is 32. I'll just scroll down, click and scroll down, click and scroll down, and it's not there. So we'll just use simple. We'll just use floor beam, or you can just type this numerical 11, and we'll scroll down, click inside and scroll down, and we'll use floor beam gusset. Just double click on it. In this case, I had a preset ready-made for this, and I click load and click modify, apply and accept that. So once you've done that, it will be a default setting in any particular in any connection you'll do here. So I'll select the part I want to connect to the other, which is the main part, then click that and give it some time to process that information. There is our connection, and I select on that and connect that, select and connect that. So all the landings will be connected to the landing beam. Select that and connect that, that and that, that and that. Then we connect this one also and connect that one. So I'll turn it round to check which part have not been connected to the landing beam. I'll select on that, and that is connected. Now we can turn this round to check our connection, whether they look much better. So just double click. We'll just double click here. I'll bring back the assembly, then I'll double click here, so you can see the options, a number of options you have on this connection. You can change this to a different one, and also the boltings you can change, and the lacing also you can change. I'll close that, click on the empty screen, and now we are going to threads. I'll turn this round once again, and now we are going to thread marking. So I'll come to edit and come to points and pick at any position, then I'll snap right there and snap right here. I'll come back to points once again and pick the first option online, then pick on that spot and pick on that spot. And again come to options, on points, and select on that, and I have all that. Select on that point, right click and come to move, copy, and place another one right there. And again we'll come back to points here, and I'll snap on that spot and snap on this spot right here. Click apply and accept. Now we want to move this point, copy it maybe from here to here. I'm moving just slowly so that we land on that edge accurately, and I'll copy that right there. So that is the position I wanted that to be on, so we can get rid of these unnecessary points. So I want to copy this point right here, right click and come to copy, and I want to copy this point the opposite end. I'll come to view and navigate, and I want to turn this round like that. Right click and we'll copy that point right there. So if I come out like that, I'll be able to see the points in place. So it's always vital to get rid of the points that might confuse you when doing other things. So always remember to get rid of the points once they have guided you to the location that you intended to move to. Now I'll select on that point, press Ctrl, then select that point, because I want to distribute these points along this stringer, because I'm going to place different threads. Instead of using these default ones, I'll right click and come to copy, and I want to snap on that midpoint and snap on this midpoint here and move all the way up here. Copying it manual is a lot more accurate than arraying all these points, which might also land in a different location and throw you back to a normal back and forth work that I hate most. And I'll just snap on that spot and snap on that spot. Then what I'm going to do is now coming to I'll look for the checker plate tool. I'll just type here staircase, and I'll scroll down, and I'll use this checkered plate thread. I'll double click on it, and we'll be able to access all this. And I'll click on that drop down arrow and pick on the thread, and click load and click modify, apply, and give it an OK. Now I'll disable the assembly, because if I mouse over this stringer, everything gets selected, so I don't want to deal with one individual member. So I'll disable this, and I'll select on this stringer first, because you can read the instruction there. Select the first part, and the secondary part will be this one. And now I'll define my first position for the thread. I'll select that spot and select this spot for my first thread. This is how my thread will look. So once that has been created, you can go gently and get rid of the default thread, because it is of no use now. So another way, you can go ahead and delete everything prior to even placing the new threads, because the guidelines are already in place, so we might not get lost. So select that and get rid of it. So I'll come back to checkered plate and follow the same process, because we cannot array this. We have just to place them manually to the far end. I'll select on it once again, and select on this main part, and select on the secondary part. Then snap on this spot and snap on that spot, and our thread is in place. Select on this, select on that, and place our thread. This, and this, and our thread is in place. We select this member and select that member, and we place our thread in that place. So make sure you follow every process accurately, than rushing and end up with something very ambiguous and even shameful to share. Now I'll snap on that spot. I'll snap on that and select on that main part and that secondary part, and I'll define the locations of the ends of my thread. I select on this and select on that, then snap on that spot and go all the way to that spot, and that will be my final thread for the first flight. Now I'll turn that round, and you can see we have our checkered plate threads on the first flight of our staircase. We have it in place. So the next one is landing. So what do we do with landing? First of all, we need a little bit of support here at the bottom of our checker plate, and what we'll do, we'll first of all go to steel and pick a beam here and target the center of this and all the way to that spot. And what we'll do, we just double click on it because that beam is too big and we cannot allow such material to be used on that section because it will be a total wastage and it will be a money lost to the fabricator. Now I'll click on the profile and select on that. It will not money lost to the fabricator, it will money lost to the owner of the project. Now I'll change this material and I'll use a channel here. I'll pick the first one here. I'll pick 100 and apply and give it an OK, and I'll allow it to be in that spot. So what I'm going to do, just select on it, or we can give it an offset by copying it in the x axis. So we'll give it 600 offset, 600, and see where it lands. It's way off the point. We'll give it 550 because the landing is way close to 1100, so that it's far much more off the point. So this will be 450, will be more accurate, or we can just put that manually and click OK. That's okay. And we'll do the same thing here by selecting on that and coming to copy and pick it from this point here and locate it right there. Make sure it doesn't clash with our fin plate here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to move it slightly from that spot to that spot, so there's not even a slight clash at this far end. There's none. This will be welded directly to this, or with the fin plate. We can even move it further away from that. Perfect. And that's all. So on top here we'll place a plate, a checker plate on the landing here. So always remember, don't forget to save your work, because you never know what might happen to your power supply or your computer. You might end up losing everything and you lose all the energy you've spent on this. Now I'll come to applications and component here, and I want to place the checker plate on the landing here. So I'll double click, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick my default presets or measurements that I normally use on the landing. So I'll load and click modify, apply, and I give it an OK, and I'll define the guiding lines. I'll select on that this beam or this stringer as my main part, and the secondary part will be that one, and I'll define the position of my checker plate will be that spot, and I'll stretch all the way to that spot, so that will be where my landing will be placed. So just take a look how it looks. It's perfectly on the position that we intended it to be on. So a slight shift will be we want to slightly move these members, and we don't need to move them. What we want to do is just to select on this. Once you've selected on this, we want to explode this because there's no any other way we can get rid of this plate at the bottom end here unless we explode it. I'll try and show you what I'm trying to do, but because I want to get rid of this, so I've selected on it, everything will disappear. So we want to disconnect this plate and the checker plate because we have these two beams at the bottom end here for the support of the checker plate. Now what I'm going to do, I'll just go ahead and try and select on that, delete, and it will not work. So what I'm going to do is select everything here, then I'll right click and come to explode. But remember, the moment you disable the assembly, you'll never ever even getting close to the explode tool here. So we have to bring back the assembly, then select on what we want to explode. Then the moment you right click, you will be able to explode the component so that you can deal with each and every individual differently. So I'll explode it. Now I'll be able to counter every individual as it is. So I'll come to this member and select on it and delete. So I don't need this bolt here, I don't need that bolt, and I don't need this bolt here. And I'll come this far end and I'll get rid of this bolt here, then that plate. So I'll turn that once again and I'll get rid of that. I'll assemble the top plate with the stringer once we are done. So you can see this, we have this in place. Perfect. Now we want to place another landing here. So I'll come to landing here, I'll double click on the landing and bring back the assembly and disable the assembly and select this and that and define my landing. It will stretch all the way to that spot, and this is how it will look in this case. So I'll come to navigate and turn that round like that, and you'll be able to see what we're actually talking about. So at this stage again, we want to place the guiding lines or the guiding points for our threads. It might look a little bit tiresome, and this is the best way you can come up with your a better staircase done with better tools or better macros in Tekla structures. Now I'll come to edit and come to points here and come to at any position, and I'll snap right here and all the way to that spot. Now I'll just pick this point, right click and come to copy and snap and take it all the way to that spot. It's way off the location we intended it to be on. So that is a position I wanted it to be on. Now I want to transfer this point here to the opposite direction. I'll snap on that spot and come to view here and rotate this all the way that way, and for us to access that midpoint. So I'll close this and navigate, click navigate and turn that on once again, and we need these 2 points transferred up. So I'll select on this and press Ctrl select on that, right click and come to copy, and I'll zoom out and snap on that spot and target that position and place those points, and place another point right there and place another point right there. We just move all the way accurately like that, and on top there we've placed another one. So we'll move up and just finalize with this point mark placement, and I'll come to edit here and come to points once again, and I want to just finalize this point marking so that when we start distributing all these stringers to to different heights, it becomes easier to handle them. Now I'll click OK, then I'll snap on that spot, right click and come to copy and snap on that spot and place it right there. So I'll select on this, right click and come to copy, and I'll snap on the midpoint right there. So I want to access this end, but I cannot see the midpoint of this. So that is the reason why I come to view and come to navigate and access, rotate with mouse and left click and hold and turn this round and snap right there. So we have the 2 points in place, just to guide us all the way to the position that we intend to reach. So I want these 2 points. I'll select that one, that one, and select on this one, right click and come to copy, and I'll snap at the midpoint right there and snap at the midpoint right there. So just have the patience so that you do this thing accurately, because at the end of it, this is what you will be doing, and it must be done accurately, and you'll feel confident and you can share it with anyone confidently, because it will have some very little errors. Now let me just turn that round like that, and we want to place threads right away. Let's just start with this, then we'll go to the other part. Select on that and select on that, and pick on that and pick on that. We have our thread, but that's not a thread, that is a landing. So what we'll do, we'll just double click on it. We'll bring back the assembly first and double click on it and change it to thread. It hasn't changed, so we just delete it manually. So we come back here and you use our thread and click modify, apply and accept that. Then we'll select that member and that member as secondary, then snap on that spot and snap here. We do with the same thing, select primary and secondary, and we snap on that spot and snap on that spot. Select that, snap on that spot and snap on that spot. We'll go all the way like that and snap on that spot. Snap there, snap here, then zoom out and target that spot, and we'll snap right here. Snap that, select that, and we'll move all the way to that spot. We'll pick on that and that, then we'll snap here on these 2 points. We'll pick on that and that, then we'll snap on that point. Perfect. Now we'll come on top here and we'll try to place the threads, but placing the thread, we need first of all to find get everything done prior to copying it to a full height of our staircase tower. Now I'll double click here and come to thread once again, and I want to default on it, so I'll select on that and that and place a thread here. Place a thread here. Remember these threads are welded to the stringer. That's why you're seeing this green conical shape, means they're welded, the part of the stringer. So when you generate the drawing, they'll be attached to the stringer together. So once you've picked on that, let me just start afresh. I'll pick the main part and the secondary part, and now the first position is that, and the second position of the thread is that one. Repeat the same thing like that and place it right there, this and that, and define the 2 points for your thread. I'll place it right there. Select that and place your thread from that point to that point. Select that and place your thread maybe from that spot to that spot, and we'll place a thread to that spot, and another thread will be located here. Perfect. Now on top here we need we need a checker plate, and I'll select a checker plate on the landing, and I'll click apply, modify, and accept. So I'll select on that and that, then I'll turn this round to a position where I'll be able to access the accurate points. So that will be okay. So I'll snap right there and move all the way to this far end, and that will be my thread, but not the stringer. So I'll come back, I'll undo that, then double click here, and I'll select on the landing, and I'll click modify, apply, or load it, modify, apply, and give it an OK. So I'll select these two, then define the location, all the points of my landing placement. So we slightly need an increment on the length of our landing. So let's first of all move on and do the same thing. Select on that and select on this, then snap at this far end and snap at that far end. So we have our landing in place, and we'll come to that spot and try to turn that round. So here we'll double click, we'll first of all bring the assembly back, then double click on this, then we'll come to the landing, and we'll add here 100 or 200 will work much better. Just bring it this close, and we'll use 180. Apply and accept that. Double click on that. We'll use 180. Now we'll save this as a landing 1. So we'll save this as a landing 1, and we'll load it. We'll save that. So when you click, when you come to this drop down arrow, it will be listed here. So next time when I want to use, and I'll be having two options of landing and landing 1, which are in different sizes. Now I'll close that and come to navigate, and I'll be able to turn that round like that. So for now, I'll try and get rid of these default threads. So I'll select them, or I'll select on them individually and delete them. I delete all of them. I'll delete all of them. It seems I've lost a thread. Not really, it is in place. Now I'll turn this round and I'll target this far end. I'll select on that and delete. I'll select on that and delete. I'll select on that and delete that. Delete that and delete that. So I'll go ahead and do everything. Delete everything that I don't need. I'll come to navigate and turn that round like that, and I'll be able to see that I need another thread on top here. So the thread that will be copied, the stringers that will be copied with, it will be this stringer and this stringer that will be distributed up all the way to height of my choice. Now I'll double click on that, and maybe I'll choose my previous landing, that, and I'll load it, modify, give it an OK, apply it. I'll select on that and select on this, then snap on that spot and move all the way to that end and place it right there. Perfect. Now this is how it looks. There's something we forgot, is the supporting beams, and that should not be a big worry. That one can be worked on later on. So what we are going to do is we want to add another height of this beam. So if I click on this beam, you can see it's stretched to 6 meters. So what we are going to do is very simple. We are going to select all these beams like that, and right click and come to special copy here, and we add 6 on top of the 6 meter. I'll just type 6 meter here, and and click 2. I need 2 of this, I need 2 of that, and I'll click OK. I'll click expand. Okay, now this is what we have. So we have 6, we have 6, we have 6 here. So this is a total of 18 meters. This is a total of 18 meters, and we want to use a splice joint. We want to connect this. We want to connect these with a splice joint. So what we are going to do is just type splice. So click inside here and scroll down and look for the column splice. We are trying to look for a column splice here, which is 32. So where do we get the 32? We just scroll down and even type 32 if you can get it right here. Click inside and scroll down. And scroll down here, and we cannot see that splice. Now how can you get it? That is the key question. Now what we are going to do here is just to type the column splice, or we forgot a digit here. It should be 132. So we have our column splice here. Just scroll, drag it to that position, and we'll pick the connection here. We'll load it here, load that, and we'll apply and give it apply and accept that. So we want to connect this beam to that beam. So we have this is our splice joint. So one part will be welded and the other section will be bolted, so that when you get to site you don't get confused in all this. So this part will be carried to site welded with this plate with the holes on that end, and the top side will be carried onto site welded with this plate with holes on this section. So this one, the flange will be connected with the plates on site. So what I'm going to do here, I'll continue connecting all these connections, that and that. And there's a way on you can flip this by starting with the first one, and you can see that flipped. Let me just show you that. You can see that I started with this, picking that as the main part, as the main part, and that you can see that. So let me switch the selection. If I switch that, you see there's a flip in the connection. So it's upon you which one you want to attach first. So let me just maintain the uniformity by following the same procedure like that, and I'll go up and do the same thing here and connect all that, that and that, this and that. Click and redraw that. Perfect. So the next thing you are going to do is the base plate. We want now to connect these ones. So prior to that, we want to select everything here, then we move accurately up. So in this case, first of all, I want to explode some parts here so that we can copy them accurately. So which part do we need to explode? We need to explode first the threads. So the parts I'm going to explode first are the threads. So I'll go ahead and select all these threads, because that is the only way we can copy them accurately. So let me just select all of them and accurately select all of them. Here I'll come to navigate and pick it from that spot, and we want to copy this thread and this thread and their landings. So let me just turn this into a position that I'll be able to select everything accurately. So I'll select everything like that, and navigate and turn around and make sure that I've selected everything accurately. I'll come to navigate and turn that round like that and check whether there is any section or part we've left out. I'll press Ctrl and also pick on that. I'll turn around and take a look whether we've left any section that we need to be accompanied with the rest of the members when we are doing the copying going up. I'll select on that and select on this. Everything should be in place while doing the copying. So let me just come to navigate and turn around like that and check every part that we've left out. We've left this connection. Press Ctrl and select these connections because we want to carry with us everything while doing the copying. Just turn around that and select that connection and pick that beam and come to navigate, and we'll turn that round like that, and you select that one also. Navigate and turn that round. So we'll come to this beam also, and we'll press Ctrl and select all these beams. So what do we need? Prior to invoking a copying command, make sure you have everything with you. You've selected everything, and you need to take a flight up. So this one, what we're going to do, just right click and come to special copy and pick linear and feed in to 2850, and we need several of these. Maybe we need 4 of them or 5. Let's just feed 4 and we'll click copy. We'll give it some time to process the same information. Perfect. We'll go ahead and click OK, and we have our staircase in place, and this is how it looks. I'll redraw, and this is what we have. This is what we have in place, and this is how it looks. So what we're going to do here is now to put these end plate connections. I'll come here and just type end plate. I'll put in end plate, simple end plate. Just type simple end plate, which is 32. It should read 32. This one here. Double click on it, then I'll pick my default setting. So what I'm going to do here, it's quite simple, is just to connect that to that. Just give it some time, and we'll connect that to that. We'll not leave any part out. There's an error, and we'll come to navigate here and come and check that. We've connected that, and we can see a member still in place. We've copied 2 of them. So let's check that whether it is still in place. It's not there. So we can go ahead and connect this to that, and we connect that to that. We can connect that to that. Make sure we connect these beams accurately. Just move and connect everything. That to that. That should be done a little bit faster, because the same connection is just the same all through. Connect that to that. Connect this one to that one. Connect that one to that. That to that. Any part left out will be brought to the correct position. That to that. We connect that one to that one, and this one will be connected to that member. That to that, and we connect that to that one. Connect all this together. Remember, you can also connect this prior to copying, so that this is how it looks now. This is how it looks. The parts remaining will come back to them and correct everything to look much better. So in this particular case, we want just to correct this very fast. We don't need this. Do you really need this? We don't need this one here. We don't need this landing beams here. We don't need that one. We don't even need this. So when I turn the other end, I'll be able to check which part or which section do we need a beam. We need a beam here. We don't need a beam here. Perfect. So our connections are coming closer to perfection. You can check those connections, and I'll come back here and try and connect that to that. Try connect that to that, and this one also should be connected. We should not leave anything unconnected or any part unconnected. So you realize that section we copied two members. Zoom out and check your model perfectly, and make sure it is error free, or if there's some errors, it will be negligible. So just take a look and see what need to be corrected. I'll come here and check that. You can see that, and turn that round at the bottom end. There's some parts we can get rid of. Now we can just walk around and try to comb this. As I told you, these ones will be removed, and you can replace that with the beam that we placed at the bottom end here. But that one we will handle together when we are doing the hand railings. Now in this today, the next step is just I want to place the base plates. The base plates. Now I'll come to simple stiffened base plates. Stiffened base plate. Stiffened base plate. Just click inside here and go to stiffened base plates. Double click on it and pick the base plate here. Just load the settings, modify, apply, and give it and accept right there. Click on that and snap at the bottom end right there. Just give it some time to process the information, and this is what we have as the base plate. You can just snap right there and place it right there, and come navigate and rotate that. Select on that at the bottom end here, and now we can close this. So if you take a look here, you can see we have our staircase in place. So what we are lacking now is just the hand railings. If I redraw here, we can get rid of some points that we don't need. So you can see how it looks. We have the checker plate in place. We can view it from up by changing the view, changing this to perspective view. You can change this to perspective view, and we can have a look at it from the top end here by coming to navigate, and you can turn that round like that and have a look on all sections here. So this is the staircase, and this is how it looks. Thanks a lot for watching this video, and let's meet on the next presentation, and bye bye. I'm Morris Dimba. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe, and let's meet then.